Next thing to do is to cut our legs. And what we need is 4 1-inch strips out of this guy. And then we're gonna have to, well, maybe I should do it first, is cut this guy down. Notice that this is more than halfway across. So we're gonna wanna cut this down so that it's -1/8 and -1/8 off of a half. So we'll need to know the full length of the inside, the actual length, not just the proposed length. And so we're gonna measure the full length, subtract 1/8 from this side, subtract 1/8 from this side, and then subtract 1/8 from the middle, and then divide by 2, and then that'll be the length of our feet. So actual length, looks like it is pretty close to 18 inches. So 18 inches minus 3/8 for gaps is 17 5/8, which is gonna be the same thing as 10/16. And we're gonna divide that in half for each leg. So that'll be 8 1/2. So that'll be 8 8/16, plus half of that guy will be 5/16. So that'll be 8 13/16. All right, so 8 13/16. Legs cut. Now, since I want them to be able to swing, so I'm gonna put a screw in here and then they're gonna be free to pivot. I'm gonna need to round over all these corners so that they don't catch on the underside of the tray. So grabbing a stencil, we can set this up on the end and have it overhang the sides just a little bit and the end a little bit, and then we can draw our round over here. And then we'll just sand it down to the line. Now to drill the holes for the screws that we're going to use to hold the legs to the frame, normally we want to pick a drill bit that's going to be the size of the core, and then the threads are entirely outside what we're drilling. But in this case, because we're going to put a nut on the back side of this, and we don't want the threads to actually cut into the wood, we want them to cut nut that we're going to put on there. We can line this up so that we don't really see much in the way of threads on either side. You can see just a tiny amount there because we want to have a snug fit, but we don't want it to be having to screw into the wood there. So we use a 9/16 for these 8/32 screws that we have that are going to be machine screws. We don't need to have a point on the tip of this because it's going to go all the way through and then have a nut on the back side. So then the next thing is going to be, we need to have a consistent placement of our hole that we're going to be drilling, which is why we're at the drill press, because we want it to go straight down and not have the possibility of waver, like coming in at an angle. We want to go straight down. And we also want to make sure that we are in the same spot for all 4 of our legs. So we have them here, and it would be nice to be able to line all 4 up and drill one hole straight through all of them, but this bit is not going to be able to be held and then drill through all of them. Also, our fence for holding this isn't tall enough here. We could build it up to make it taller, but what we can do is we can do 2 at a time and drill through, and then once we get part way, or at least most of the way through the next one, trade out and sort of daisy chain them. Now we also need to choose our placement of where we're going to put that hole, how we're going to line this up. Now our legs are 1 inch wide, so we can say, well, 1/2 inch, there you go, there's 1/2 inch, but we also want it to be 1/2 inch down from top, and there we go. And we're going to measure from this guy up to 1/2 inch and put a dot, and this dot right here, I'm going to turn into an X, that's where we're going to make our hole. And we're going to do that on all these guys. All right, recut of the tray top set so that we can get our joints tighter. And these little gaps are because of warped wood. We'll fix that when we glue it together. Holes drilled in the legs, and now we need to position them so that they can swing out. And if we put them just in the corner, they'll go straight up and down. And I think it would be better if they were angled outward slightly. In order to get a consistent spacing, I have little scraps of this plywood, so I can stick those guys there, stick that guy in the corner, and there we go. I've got that guy, and we should probably make sure that our legs fit opposite. Oh, there we go, though, that's tight. All right, now we need to mark off that hole, and to do that, we're gonna take a 1/16 inch drill bit, put it in the hole, get it as perpendicular as possible, lean it up, and just tap it to mark. All right, let's make sure that it marked. Yes, it did, it marked. And we're gonna do that for all 4 legs with the same spacers. Now positions marked, we're gonna take it all apart again and drill our 4 holes in the sides so that then we can connect the legs. Turns out 9/64 was still annoying to screw into the legs, so we're upgrading to 5/32, which is just a smidge bigger. And now we're gonna do the rails, the holes in the rails that we marked. And this is long enough that we don't need to use the fence. We can just hold it back here with our hand far enough away and pull down into it. All right, let's re-dry fit again. What number is this? Dry fit, we have legs, they swing, but I need something more. This is a little bit wobbly. I don't like this. I do like the fact that the leg angles do seem to be consistent, but I think we're gonna need, oh, this guy looks a little bit wonky compared to, oh, that might be the fact that I haven't glued this yet. So, how about a cross piece? I think this needs a cross piece to go from here over to there. That'll help. Let's do that.